Buckle up, Chiefs Kingdom, because what I'm about to reveal is going to send shockwaves through the entire NFL. Kansas City just made a move so seismic, it's got every other franchise scrambling. This is not a drill. If you bleed red and gold, don't you dare scroll past this without watching to the very end. Smash that like button, drop a W in the comments if you're still riding with our Chiefs, or an L if you've lost the faith. And hit that subscribe button, because what we're about to break down could change the entire landscape of the league. Let me make this clear. What's happening in Kansas City right now isn't just a shift. It's a full-blown football revolution. The sleeping giant is awakening, and when it does, it's going to rock every locker room from coast to coast. See, while analysts were busy nitpicking and doubting the Chiefs' offense last season, while the media questioned whether Patrick Mahomes had lost his magic, what they failed to realize is this: the Chiefs were playing with one hand tied behind their back. That's right, they were missing their two most explosive weapons for the majority of the season, Marquise Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice. These weren't just any receivers, they were the blueprint for a new era in KC's aerial assault, set to take the offense back to peak Tyreek Hill level dominance. But instead of fireworks, we got silence. Just 4 combined games of action from Brown and Rice. Imagine removing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins from the Bengals for a full season. Or CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks from the Cowboys. That's what Kansas City endured, and still made a Super Bowl run. But here's where it gets spine-tingling. While the NFL was prematurely writing the Chiefs' obituary, something extraordinary was happening behind the curtain. These guys didn't sulk. They grinded. They trained. They prepared to return with vengeance. Rashee Rice, on a mission, reports out of camp say he looks faster, sharper, and more dialed in than ever before. That hunger you only get from being counted out, he's got it. Hollywood Brown, torch mode. He's been lighting up minicamp, burning DBs, turning slants into 6 points, and looking every bit like the deep threat assassin the Chiefs envisioned. He's healthy, focused, and ready to remind the league who he is. And then there's the quiet storm. Xavier Worthy, a breakout late in his rookie campaign, this kid's rise has been electric. With elite raw talent, relentless work ethic, and growing chemistry with Mahomes, he's quickly becoming the X factor no one saw coming. Now combine all three: Rice, precise route hooker with glue hands Brown, explosive, vertical threat who forces safeties to sweat Worthy, ascending star with limitless upside. You've got a WR trio that can attack from every angle, a three-headed monster built to annihilate any defense. And it's not just hype. Former Chiefs wideout Gehrig Dieter recently declared on social media, hard to name a better WR trio right now than what the Chiefs have. The dynasty isn't dying, it's evolving. So to every defensive coordinator in the NFL, you better study the tape, say a prayer, and brace yourself, because the Kansas City Chiefs are about to unleash an offensive onslaught that'll make 2018 look like a warm-up. When a former player, someone who's lived inside the system, breathed the culture, and earned his stripes, makes a statement like that, you better believe it's coming from a place of authentic insight. But here's what elevates this moment into something truly electrifying. We're not just talking about a top-tier trio of receivers. Oh no, this depth chart runs dangerously deep. Enter Juju Smith-Schuster, a battle-tested veteran with championship DNA and an undeniable clutch gene. Add to that Jalen Royals, a stealth weapon quietly sharpening his game behind the scenes. And of course, you cannot forget Travis Kelce, the ageless maestro of tight end excellence, arguably the greatest to ever play the position. What Kansas City has built is more than a receiving core. It's an arsenal of offensive versatility, an embarrassment of riches most teams can only fantasize about. Most franchises would kill to have one of these playmakers as their WR1. The Chiefs have 5, maybe 6, who could easily be the focal point on any other roster. That's not luck, that's elite roster construction, the kind that builds dynasties. Now, let's talk about Mahomes. This is where the real fireworks begin. You're talking about a generational quarterback, a 2-time Super Bowl champion and multiple-time MVP, who has already carved his name into the stone of greatness. But imagine what happens when you surround that level of talent with this kind of weaponry. Let's be honest, Mahomes spent the majority of last season pulling off miracles with receivers who, through no fault of their own, were being forced into roles they weren't built for due to injuries across the board. And yet, he still kept this team in the fight. He still willed the offense forward. He still found a way to win. But now we're entering a completely different reality, one where Mahomes isn't scrambling to compensate, but instead commanding a fully loaded offensive juggernaut. He's got precision route runners, elite vertical threats, and young, explosive talent at every tier of the field. OC Matt Nagy has already declared that the Chiefs are bringing back the deep ball in 2025. And now we understand why. Brown stretches the field with breakaway speed. Rice slices up zones with clinical precision. Worthy breaks ankles after the catch and turns routine plays into highlight reels. This trio gives Kansas City the power to attack every inch of the field. Short, intermediate, deep, sideline, seam, name the area. They own it. And what's even more terrifying? It's the synergy. These aren't just talented players. They're complementary assassins. Brown draws the safeties back. Rice eats up the underneath routes. You try to bracket Kelce? That leaves Worthy isolated with space. Game over. You play press and try to bring pressure? Mahomes drops it over the top like a dagger. It's a chessboard of chaos, and the Chiefs are holding every major piece. The psychological edge. Let's not overlook the mental warfare. When opposing teams study the Chiefs' depth chart, they won't just see two threats. They'll see a legion. Defensive backs are going to walk into Arrowhead with wide eyes and heavy nerves, knowing they're outgunned before the ball is even snapped. And here's the hidden blessing. Last season's injuries, as devastating as they were, they've forged a fire in these players that can't be manufactured. Rashee Rice is coming back with a vengeance, determined to pick up right where his breakout left off. See, when you're the Kansas City Chiefs, and you've scaled the NFL summit multiple times, every decision is scrutinized under a microscope, like an insect pinned in a lab. Every draft pick, every free agent signing, every trade, it all matters because the margin for error narrows to razor-thin levels when you're trying to sustain greatness. And that's precisely where we find ourselves today, discussing a move that could define the next decade of Chiefs football. The 2025 NFL Draft came and went, and while most fans were laser-focused on the flashy top picks, something intriguing was brewing down at pick number 32. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pick 32? That's just the last pick of the first round. What's the big deal? Let me tell you, that mindset is exactly why so many people miss the forest for the trees when it comes to constructing championship rosters. True dynasties aren't built on just the top 5 picks that everybody obsesses over on social media. They're forged in the fire of identifying hidden gems where others see risk, spotting raw talent where others see question marks, and having the guts to make bold decisions when the stakes are sky high. And that's precisely what Kansas City did when they stepped up to the podium and announced their selection. The name that echoed through the draft was Josh Simmon, an offensive tackle from Ohio State University. Now, before you roll your eyes and mutter another offensive lineman, how thrilling, let me break down why this pick could either be the steal of the draft or the haunting misstep that shadows this franchise for years. First off, let's talk about what Ohio State has been producing lately in the trenches. We're talking about a veritable factory of NFL-ready talent. These aren't just big bodies filling space. They're polished, technically sound, fundamentally disciplined players who grasp the intricacies of pass protection and run blocking at the elite level. When you see that Ohio State logo next to a lineman's name, you'd better sit up straight. History shows that Columbus knows how to mold linemen into pros. But here's where it gets truly fascinating, and I need y'all to lock in because this is critical to understanding the gravity of this pick. Josh Simmon wasn't supposed to be on the board at pick 32. Hell, most draft experts graded him as a top 10 talent. Some even put him in the top 5. So what went wrong? How did a player with that kind of pedigree slip all the way to the tail end of the first round? The answer is one word that strikes terror into the hearts of general managers, coaches, and fans alike: injuries. Evaluating talent in the NFL isn't just about what a player can do when they're healthy. It's about projecting what they can contribute over the course of a grueling, punishing NFL career. And when you're a championship caliber team like Kansas City, every detail counts. Simmon had been battling injury concerns that caused scouts and front offices to pause. Questions that didn't necessarily take him off the board, but certainly forced teams to weigh the risk and against the potential reward. And that's exactly the kind of high-stakes calculus that separates championship organizations from perennial underachievers. Now let's talk about Kansas City's specific situation, because context in the NFL is everything. The Chiefs have faced questions along their offensive line, particularly at the... Listen up, Chiefs Kingdom. Y'all think you know what's next for your beloved red and gold. Think again. This franchise just pulled a move that sent shockwaves through the entire NFL landscape. And I'm here to unpack exactly why this decision could propel Kansas City into an unstoppable dynasty or leave them vulnerable to a dramatic fall. Don't you dare scroll past this. Watch every second of this breakdown. Smash that like button. Drop a W in the comments if you believe in the Chiefs, or an L if you've lost faith, and hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to reveal will forever transform how you see this team's future. Now, let's dive deep into the heart of the matter. When you've got a generational quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, the literal engine that powers your entire offense, protecting his blind side is absolutely paramount. We're not just talking about keeping him on his feet. We're talking about giving him the time and pocket space to make those jaw-dropping highlight reel plays that have made him the face of the entire league. The left tackle position in the NFL is akin to being the Secret Service for the president. One slip-up and the whole operation unravels. It's a role that demands a rare blend of size, athleticism, technique, and ironclad mental toughness. You're facing off against some of the most ferocious pass rushers on the planet, guys who've been honing their craft since childhood, and your singular mission is to ensure they don't get anywhere near your quarterback. What makes this pick even more compelling is how it aligns with Kansas City's long-term blueprint. This isn't just about patching a hole for the 2025 season. This is about laying the foundation for sustained excellence over the next 5 to 10 years. When you draft an offensive tackle in the first round, you're not just selecting a player, you're securing a franchise cornerstone, someone you can build your offensive identity around for years to come. But here's where the stakes get even higher, and why I'm so fired up about this situation. The success rate for offensive tackles drafted in this range tells a story, one every Chiefs fan needs to grasp. We're not talking about randomly tossing darts and hoping for the best. We're talking about a meticulous risk-reward calculation based on historical data and performance patterns. Analyzing the last decade's drafts, offensive tackles selected between picks 21 and 37 have boasted a success rate of roughly 67%. That might not sound earth-shattering on its own, but when you compare it to the overall first-round success rate, which hovers around 50-55%, you start to see why this range has become a goldmine for unearthing quality starters. What's even more impressive is the caliber of players that have emerged from this sweet spot. Guys like Ryan Ramczyk, who's become a linchpin for the New Orleans Saints. Christian Darrisaw, who's been anchoring protection for Kirk Cousins and likely the future QB in Minnesota. And Tyler Smith, who's instantly solidified the Dallas Cowboys offensive front. These aren't just guys who managed to stick around the league. They're bona fide starters, second contract earners, and in some cases, Pro Bowl talents. That's the kind of hit rate that makes general managers sleep well at night, especially when you're talking about a position as vital as left tackle. But let's not sugarcoat this reality, Chiefs Kingdom. For every success story in this range, there's a cautionary tale. Players like Isaiah Wilson, who vanished from the league almost as fast as he entered it. Or Andre Dillard, who never quite delivered on his first-round promise despite flashes of potential. The difference between a hit and a miss at this level often boils down to factors that go beyond raw talent. Things like work ethic, character, adaptability to the breakneck speed of the NFL, and perhaps most crucially, the ability to stay healthy enough to develop and thrive. This is precisely where the injury concerns surrounding Josh Simmon enter the conversation. It's one thing to have the talent and the technique to play left tackle at the highest level. It's another thing entirely to do it consistently over a grueling 17-game regular season. Plus, a potential deep playoff run. The Chiefs' medical staff and front office obviously did their due diligence on Simmons' injury history. They brought him in for comprehensive evaluations, put him through rigorous medical testing, and likely consulted some of the most renowned orthopedic specialists in the country. The fact that they were comfortable investing a first-round pick in him signals that they believed the risk is manageable. But believing the risk is manageable and actually managing that risk are two entirely different challenges. This is where Kansas City's player development program and their track record with injury-prone players come into play. How effective have they been historically in handling players with similar medical red flags? How skilled is their training staff at keeping players healthy, game-ready, and on the field? These are the tough questions that don't always have clear answers. But they're absolutely pivotal in assessing whether this pick will help shape Kansas City's long-term success. Hollywood Brown has everything to he's healthy, laser-focused, and ready to explode. Xavier Worthy? That man is starving to build on the buzz from the second half of his rookie year. You combine individual motivation with a shared hunger for another ring, you don't just get talent, you get relentless excellence. The timing is perfect. The Chiefs are coming off yet another Super Bowl run. The core of the roster is in its prime. And now this avalanche of offensive firepower is being reintegrated just as the rest of the league is struggling to keep pace. This is the rich getting richer. This is the king reclaiming the throne with reinforcements. Final word, Chiefs Kingdom. What we're witnessing isn't just a few stars coming back from injury. This is the evolution of an already championship caliber offense into something that could be historic. So let me ask you, are we looking at the most dangerous WR group in the NFL? Smash that like button if you believe the Chiefs are about to break the league. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't just back, they're better than ever. He concluded his debut season with 59 receptions, 638 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Not only did he statistically lead the Chiefs' receiving corps, but he also became Mahomes' go-to target when the stakes were highest. Critics initially pigeonholed him as a gadget guy, useful only in the run game, mischaracterized as one-dimensional. But Worthy obliterated that narrative, proving he's not just a gadget, he's a weapon. With 98 targets, he wasn't just involved, he was indispensable. In his own words, Worthy called the close of his rookie campaign a launch pad, learning Mahomes' tendencies and building unshakable confidence. Heading into year 2, all signs point to a breakout season. Add in his rushing prowess, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 5.2 yards per carry, and you've got one of the most dynamic offensive threats in the league. No more debate. Xavier Worthy is the real deal. But wait, there's a secret weapon about to make a name for himself, Jalen Royals. Drafted in the 4th round out of Utah State, he enters this offense with a chip on his shoulder and everything to gain. In just 7 games last season, Royals put up video game numbers. 55 receptions, 834 yards, and 6 touchdowns, averaging over 15 yards per catch, only 3 drops. Total. Scouts rave about his prowess against zone defenses, his silky smooth route running, and his fearlessness in traffic. NFL analyst Lance Zierlein described him as a receiver with elite body control and exceptional play strength, capable of lining up both inside and out. He's the kind of guy who could surpass Sky Moore and Juju Smith-Schuster on the depth chart in a hurry. But this is bigger than individual performances. It's about the collective unit. And for the first time since the Tyreek Hill era, the Chiefs' vertical passing game is roaring back to life. Patrick Mahomes completed just 29.6% of his deep passes last season, but when he did connect, it was devastating. 589 yards and 6 touchdowns on just 16 completions. Pro Football Focus awarded him an 87.9 grade for deep passing. And now, with this arsenal, he's primed to push that number even higher. Hollywood Brown brings blazing speed, Rice brings physicality and explosiveness, Worthy brings precision and versatility, and Royals brings downfield dominance and reliable hands. And while defenses have adjusted, they haven't seen this. 3-high safety looks designed to neutralize the deep ball, will pose a dilemma for defenses in 2025. Who do you cover? If you retreat too far, Travis Kelce and Noah Gray will carve you up underneath, press too tightly, and Mahomes will torch you deep with a receiving core that's not just explosive, but multidimensional. The Chiefs' offense could metamorphose into something we haven't witnessed since their legendary 201-8-2-0-1-9 run. Speaking of Gray, don't overlook the tight end depth. Noah Gray emerged last season as a legitimate weapon. 40 receptions, 437 yards, and 5 touchdowns, surpassing Kelce and Worthy in yards per reception at an impressive 10.9. Multi-tick-down games, he had them. He's not just Kelce's understudy anymore. He's a threat in his own right. So here's the question. Chiefs Kingdom, if this unit stays healthy and continues its upward trajectory, could we be witnessing the most formidable receiving group of the Mahomes era post-Teak Hill? Could Rice ascend to top 10 status? Could Worthy elevate himself to elite WR1 levels? Could Royals shock the league and carve out a major role? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Now that we've set the stage with a revitalized receiving core and early indications of a return to vertical dominance, let's delve deeper into the underlying transformation and why 2025 might be the most strategically dangerous iteration of the Chiefs we've seen under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. One major development is Mahomes' own evolution. Early in his career, he was renowned for his highlight reel throws, the 50-yard bombs to Tyreek Hill, the no-look lasers. But when defenses countered with shell coverages and 3 high safety looks, Mahomes didn't force the issue. He adapted, becoming a more efficient and methodical quarterback. And now, with all the tools back at his disposal, he's prepared to blend both versions of himself, the calculated decision maker and the fearless gunslinger. That's petrifying for opposing defenses. Mahomes summed it up perfectly. Our job is to test the defense down the field. We have to get back to doing that if we want to unlock the other guys underneath. That's a clear message. The deep ball is officially back in the blueprint, and with speed demons like Worthy and Brown, physicality from Rice, and route discipline across the board, defenses are going to crack, double one guy, and another breaks loose. Play soft, and they'll slice you up underneath. Blitz, and you're toast. It's checkmate football. Let's not forget Hollywood Brown. He was virtually invisible last season, but that's not likely to happen again. Slated to start opposite Worthy, he brings blazing speed and a fresh opportunity. If he stays healthy, Brown could be the home run threat that forces safeties out of the box and creates lanes for Rice and Royals underneath. And while Kelce's 2024 numbers, 823 yards and 3 touchdowns, were modest by his Hall of Fame standards, he still caught 97 passes and remains Mahomes' most trusted target in crucial moments. But now, he no longer has to carry the entire offense on his shoulders. That balance is exactly what Kansas City needed. All the pieces are aligning: an ascending receiver group, a quarterback entering his prime years, and an offense once again capable of stretching defenses vertically. This isn't the Chiefs' offense scrambling to replace Tyreek Hill anymore. It's a new identity, one built on speed, versatility, and depth. Now it's your turn. Who do you think will be the breakout star of this new-look Chiefs offense? Is it the resilient Rashee Rice, the ascending Xavier Worthy, the dark horse Jalen Royals, or maybe someone else flying under the radar? Let us know in the comments and make your prediction count. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop. Go Chiefs! The Chiefs' wide receiver core is primed to erupt in 2025. Yes, you read that right. The very group that many still underestimate is on the verge of silencing all the doubters. And this isn't just speculation. It's built on cold, hard facts. Numbers, training camp reports, and a certain MVP quarterback named Patrick Mahomes orchestrating it all. After Tyreek Hill's departure, countless pundits proclaimed the demise of Kansas City's explosive offense. But what they failed to see was that the team was rebuilding methodically, with purpose. Now as we enter 2025, all the pieces are in place. A roster brimming with youth, speed, physicality, and most crucially, chemistry. And leading the charge, a generational quarterback who's committed to maximizing the potential of each and every one of them. Thank you guys. See you next video.